Certainly a fantastic performance from you tonight. Now that you've had a little time to let it soak in, just give us the thoughts on how it played out tonight.
Played out how exactly I thought I was going to. Dominick's a great champion. He's arguably one of the best bantamweights to ever grace the octagon. And it was a pleasure going out there and testing my mettle. I had a lot of, what ifs, and I think I solved every one of them.
I think a lot of people thought that, of course, his cardio is kind of legendary, and would you be able to keep up that pace over 5 rounds? And you definitely started, kind of a very intense pace to start out with, and excitable, and all those things. I mean, did you have to settle yourself down a little bit and get into a rhythm to be able to make it that full 5 rounds?
You know what? I come from Team Alpha Male, and that's something they pride themselves on, is a world-class cardio. And that's something that I've always prided myself on since the beginning of wrestling days, boxing days, that the pace that I would push and set and training, my opponents and adversaries wouldn't be able to keep up. And I'm forever grateful for my teammates and coaches to push me day in and day out to keep that cardio and keep that push and to sharpen my skills. So that was never a question. I fight ferocious. I fight like that from first round to 5th round. I was just getting my lungs warmed up. Give me 5 more rounds. I was running back. Give me 25 more minutes. I would love to do it. I enjoyed it. I was living in the moment, and it was great to go in there and fight one of the best in the world and do what I did.
There were a couple times you really had him in trouble, but you didn't overcommit. I mean, was that the plan going in, or did you just not necessarily see the openings for the finish? Why not necessarily, rush all out for the finish?
You know what? I was having so much fun in there. I kind of just got caught up in the fight, and he's hurt a lot. I could have jumped on him, took his back, knocked him out, but he's tough. He's here for a reason. He's the best in the world, and he's done what he's been able to do. It's Dominick Cruz, and I knew he was tough. He's got a big old head, so I know he can absorb a lot of punishment. And he was tough. We were talking back and forth every time we'd hit one of each other, and I loved it. That was fun. I remember looking in the 3rd round when he had blood spewing down his face, and like I said, he was chattering back and forth with me the whole fight. And I said, "You having fun yet?" And he didn't answer me, and I knew right there that was my fight.
And despite the trash talk in the lead up to this, and then even in the fight tonight, it seemed like you guys did have a little bit of respect for each other afterwards. Can you kind of share what that was like?
Man, if he would have went out there and whooped my ass, I would have shook his hand as coaches and did the same, humble in victory and humble in defeat. But he made me a better person, a better fighter, and that's what it is. I generally don't like the guy. He said a lot of ill words, and like I said, I was going to make him eat every single thing. And it was a great fight. I think we put on a good fight, entertained the crowd, and went out there and delivered a performance, both of us. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for him. Always did, but I knew my responsibilities going in there, and that was to get the win and do what I had to do. But like I said, I have respect for him. He was a great champion. He wouldn't be here this long if he wasn't.
And lastly, for me, it does seem like T.J. Dillashaw feels he's the #1 contender. Of course, you mentioned his name in the cage afterwards. I mean, is that the fight that you think makes the most sense next? And certainly you deserve some time to enjoy this moment, but I mean, are you already thinking about when a fight like that could take place?
You know what? I had so much fun in there. Don's been arguably the best bantamweight in the world. Let's run that shit back. I say let's give him an ultimate, immediate rematch, and so he can go off in his next chapter of his career and do that. Like I say, he's been great. I would like to give Dominick Cruz a rematch, but it's ultimately up to UFC. But I'm the champion now. I'm the badass dude in my division, so I call the shots.
Cody, back here to your left.
My old boy.
Congratulations, of course, on the win. Kind of walk me through that 3rd and 4th round, because that's really where you started to take over. The 1st and 2nd were a little closer, but then the 3rd, it seemed like you definitely won the 3rd, then you had the knockdowns the 4th. Did you just have a moment in there where you said, "This is it, I'm winning this fight"?
Here's the thing. I always was comfortable in there. I was just really curious to see his speed, his angles, and everyone believed the hype of him being he's the Matrix, he's a ghost in there. Man, he's great. I'm not taking nothing away from him, but I was almost in shock that he was slow as he was, and his movements and angles weren't there. Like I said, I kind of was in shock, so I was kind of like, all right, I'm still in here. We're still here fighting. But my coach, Justin Buckle, said, look, the 2 kicks there, he's leading his head in there. I threw that kick and busted his scalp open with a knee, and blood was running down his face, and that's when it changed right there. He did not like that blood running down his face, and that's when I said, Dominick, are you having fun yet? And he didn't answer me. But in the 1st and 2nd round, he would answer me back each time. So that's right then I knew that he was not having fun in the fight, I had to keep the forward pressure and stick to my game plan. Don't get over jealous. Don't go for the knockout. Don't go for the kill. And like I said, I was enjoying it in there. I had so much fun. Great competitor, great champion. It was an honor to fight him.
Going into it, everyone made so much of his trash talk, the things he was saying, kind of getting you heated. And I know you had told me beforehand that that's just normal for you. You don't mind that. You like the emotion of that. But then inside the cage, you were the one kind of taunting him and pointing at the cage and things like that. I mean, did you kind of feel that in that moment where all that kind of trash talk came back around, where you were kind of having it inside the octagon?
You know what? Like I said, I was just living in the moment. I was having fun out there and enjoying it. And, it was a great fight. I had so much fun in there. But he's a great shit talker. He knows he knows a lot of good words. He speaks well. Shit, I couldn't read till I was in the 3rd grade. I barely graduated high school, so I knew what I was getting into with him. I just knew I didn't get emotional and let his words and his trash talk, get me emotional in there. I know I had to stick to my game plan and my strategy, and I knew I would take over. I'm the more dominant, faster. I'm the better fighter in there, and that proved from 1 round to the 5th round.
Obviously, after the fight, you handed the belt to Maddox. I know that was a really special moment for you. We've talked about it numerous times. I mean, what was that like for you? Because, he walked you out for the fight with Henry Briones. Now, you said the next time he would walk you out would be for the title and you would hand him the championship. What was that moment like for you after all the years you spent with him?
It was a surreal moment. It was something I'll never forget in the rest of my life. No matter what happens in my life, I'm very thankful for this kid. He came into my life on unfortunate circumstances, and for most of you who don't know, he's battling leukemia at the age of 5 years old, and from my hometown, and we met on those circumstances, but we made the best of it. I wouldn't be here without him. He gave my life redirection and purpose, and in return, I fought with purpose and lived every day with more purpose. And this kid, was going through the fight of his life and had a smile on his face and never give up. He didn't have a choice to give up. And the things that I was doing in my life, I was really pissing my life away. I could have gone down the wrong path, kept going down the wrong path, but I believe everything happens for a reason. And, as crazy as it might sound, but he was really a turning point in my life, finding him and I gained a little brother and watching him and the help that he helped me through my entire life with his battle. He doesn't even understand how much he's helped me, how much I push in practice when I get tired and feel like I can't go another round, That 4th and 5th round I remember I had his dad send me a picture of him laying on the hospital bed with his port put in his chest, and it was his early onset battle of leukemia, like his first few weeks, and just looked at it and looked at, how far he's came. And what's 10 more minutes, what's 10 more minutes for, to go out there and capture this for him. It wasn't just about me, it was my dream at a young age, but I met him and it became our dream, and it became our night, and now it's his night, and I'm forever grateful for everybody that's been a part of this journey with me, his family, himself, everybody that's had a helping hand to my success and to where I'm at right now. I'm very thankful.
And last question, the UFC has done a little bit of a victory tour, I know, with some new champions. They announced you're from Sacramento, but we know you're from Ohio. So I'm kind of curious, what are your thoughts on coming back and headlining a card in your home state at some point now that you are champion?
I would love to come back to the great state of Ohio. Born and raised, Midwest is some of the toughest son of a bitches in the world, and that showcases. So I would love to go out there and put on a great scrap in front of my home state. And and do that. So, Lord willing, and the UFC would be able to make it happen. I would love to go there and fight, but wherever. I love to fight. I enjoy the fight, but Ohio would be great. Thank you, Damon.
Cody, congratulations on a great performance, and congratulations on what you've done for Maddox in your comments here. I guess I don't want to really, it's hard to ask you a question about the fight after that, but you referenced Cruz as the Matrix and the Ghost and everything, but it seemed to me like you were kind of that to a certain degree. You were neutralizing his offense, and he wasn't hitting you that much. And, I know you had the threat of the knockout always there, but how much do you think that your ability to take his offense away helped you win the fight tonight?
I knew Dominick was different, the way he was acting, getting very emotional. And I could feel that presence off him, There was a different presence of him all week, all fight camp. I really got into his head, and that showed. He fought emotionally, and he didn't have an answer for me. I truly believe that I'm the better fighter, the faster fighter, the stronger fighter, and I wanted it more. But hats off to him. He's amazing. He's great. But yeah, I train hard, and I believe in myself. That's the thing, self-belief, and having a great team, coaches, and people that care about me.
Cody, you've gotten to this right here in the front row. You've gotten to this point, the championship, pretty quickly in your career. Do you feel like people were sleeping on you coming into this fight, or do you think it was just a matter of the fact that people needed to see you against top competition to really fully appreciate your skill level?
I guess so. There was a lot of what ifs. What if he doesn't? How's his cardio? How is he in the position? And Dominick didn't know either. I knew that he'd be a desperate man in there when he couldn't take me down, when he couldn't get his offense going. And that's what you saw, a desperate Dominick Cruz. A very desperate Dominick Cruz to figure me out. And he was getting hit with hard shots, and that changes the whole game plan of a fight. Granted, he took my shots and kept fighting. Hats off to him. But, for everybody, I can go out there and knock everybody out, but still, he didn't go to the 4th round, or he's never fought a top 5 guy, but I'm consecutively going out there knocking people out. I can see if I was having tough fights with them. But I'm going out there, calling my shots, doing what I do best, is knock people out. So this was a very huge win for me, not against even Dominick Cruz, just my performance and going out there and becoming better as a fighter. My next fight, I want to be even better. And this is just a start for me. I'm 11-0. My debut was 4 years ago with a year layoff. I knew what I needed to do was come out to Team Alpha Male. I went out there 3 years ago, and I knew that for me to be a world champion, that's where I needed to go. That's where I needed to be and be around those guys. And those guys have gotten me here. Everyone else has had a helping hand, but Team Alpha Male polished me up and brought this dream to me. They brought this to me. This is them, bread and butter. Uriah Faber, I couldn't do it without him. He's the one that paved the way for fighters like myself to have a dream, to have this all. And I'm on part of his team, and it was a step to get on the team, then represent the team, then get in the UFC, and I'll fight for the title and then win the title. And I'm bringing this shit back to Sacramento where it belongs.
And you alluded to my other question there, which is the fact that you had only been to the end of the 3rd round one time in your career. Tonight you go 5 hard-fought rounds. I'm sure it would have been easier physically to get out of there sooner. But in addition to winning the title, is there some satisfaction in having that statement on your record, too, a 5-round fight of the night, so that question is not asked in the future?
Well, that's a 5-round fight of the night with one of the best, arguably the best that ever did it. The one that's talked about the cardio king, that pushes the pace and all that. So I think I silenced a lot of the critics. But for me, that was just for myself. I could care less about what the media says, what everyone else says, but about me. Because they're not paying my bills, they're not doing any of that. It's myself. So I'm very satisfied with this win. But I know I have a lot to work on. Like I said, this is just the beginning. I'm just getting started.
Cody, this way. You already spoke a little about Uriah Faber. I wanted to ask you about how much did how important was him in the strategy for this fight. I mean, I listened to him. He was telling you to throw the push kick, and he was yelling pretty much the whole fight from the first row.
Uriah was a huge part of me being a world champion. He believed in me like I believed in myself. And this is one of the greatest that ever did, that paved the way for fighters like myself. And it just gave me more motivation, more determination, and kept me hungry, when I was struggling to make it. He's like, don't worry about it. You're going to be a superstar. You're going to be a world champion, kid. He's like, do what you're doing. I've never seen anyone like you. Keep training, And he kept me in perspective, keep making me work hard, and knowing that, I guess, looking at the bigger picture and living in the moment and enjoying it. That's one thing, just enjoying the whole process. And, we hugged each other after the fight, man. And he made me cry, we cried together, it was happy tears, it was amazing. So we shared that moment together, and it's great. It's been great to be a part of the team. I remember coming out there 1-0, a year layoff from injuries, from brain trauma. And I said, you know what? I'm not losing any more time in my life and my passion. I got to go out there and challenge myself against the best team in the world. And I took myself out to Sacramento, California, showed up on the mats covered in tattoos, and Uriah and Team Alpha Male put me through the damn gauntlet. And I remember this vividly, walking off the mat, shaking Uriah Faber's hand. He said, what do you want to do, kid? I said, I want to fight in the UFC. He said, all right, get to 5-0, I'll get you there. And now I'm 11-0 and I'm the world champion.
Hey, Cody. Over here. Bantamweight has had some great fighters, Faber, Cruz, even Miguel Torres before that. But they've never had a Conor McGregor. Are you thinking about yourself in terms of being that star at that next level, building the bantamweight division up like BJ built lightweight, like Conor built featherweight, bringing notoriety to the bantamweight division?
I mean, the bantamweight division's on fire right now. That's all because of Uriah Faber. He's the OG, WEC king of the, he's the champion of the world, featherweight world champ. He's the reason why it is the way it is. I'll never forget the roads that he's paved for fighters like myself. So I mean, it's always been on fire, and he's the one that kept it lit. Now he had the torch and he passed that shit to me. So now it's my job to keep it lit and keep it exciting and do what I can in this sport.
Yeah, just thinking, Conor, million pay-per-views. Are you thinking of yourself as, obviously you're a fighter through and through, but do you think of yourself as having that superstar potential? Do you think like that?
I don't know. I'm thankful for this moment, and if I'm ready I was prepared for what a win will bring to me, and also what a loss would bring to me, and I'm just thankful.
Hey, Cody, congratulations. Just had two questions. I recall when everything happened with Dwayne Ludwig and Dillashaw leaving the team, you were probably the most vocal one who said, everything's fine here. We don't need those guys. We have a great team. We've got everything going very well. And you made a point to kind of give props to the young coaches who were former fighters like Justin and Chris and Danny. And I'm wondering if you felt a responsibility not only for yourself and for Uriah and for Maddox, but this kind of validates them as a coaching staff as well, as great as you fought, if you feel like you did something big for them as well.
It wasn't me that did something big for them. It's what they did for me, every day. Keeping on me, keeping me motivated, keeping me getting better each day. And I've stayed busy. So I had 4 fight camps, so I'm getting better each fight camp. And I'm a direct product of them. This year's been an amazing year. We set out to be a world champion. I said in I wrote a piece of paper that I'd make it to the UFC before 2015, and the next line I wrote that I'd be a world champion by 2017. I'm one day early of my prediction, and I'm so thankful for Justin Buckles, Danny Castillo, Chris Holdsworth, Uriah Faber, my uncle Robert Meese, who's been holding flip-flops as pads since I was a kid. And, it's amazing. We all came together and have a strong team. I wouldn't be here without them.
And Dominick said that he's totally fine if Dillashaw fights you next. He would not stand in the way. And I think a lot of people would agree that Dillashaw would be next after Dominick. Do you have an issue with fighting Dillashaw?
I'm the baddest dude in the world, so bring them all. Bring them all. I just beat the best in the world, so I already knew what I did to Dillashaw. And I was 1-0. I was green. I was getting my ears wet. I was just a fighter at heart. Now I've compiled my skills with my coaches. I've been the uncrowned champion, even when Dillashaw was on the team, and now I got this. So anybody in my division can try to take it from me.
And one last quick one. I know this pales in comparison to being a champion, but, you can very much make the case that you're the fighter of the year. 4-0, you beat the greatest of all time at bantamweight. A, does that mean anything to you? And B, do you think that you were the best fighter in 2016?
I went from unranked to world champion, and the same calendar year. I think that has to do something. I beat one of the best guys that's been the pound for pound for so many years. So I think I should deserve Fighter of the Year. But like I said, when I set out to be a fighter, I just didn't want to be a UFC fighter or just an average fighter. I want to be the best, the greatest at my abilities I could be. And that's what I set out to do. And fight after fight, I want to build my legacy, and here it is. Now I got to protect it. This is a chapter of my life that's closed. I got the fight. Now we're on to the next chapter. It's defending the title until the wheels fall off, or until I get too old and can retire.
Thanks. Congrats.
That wasn't a low blow favor, no.